In the news, Maximum Effort and Fox have signed a 3-year deal and will be remaking the movie Clue. So if you aren't familiar with Maximum Effort is Ryan Reynolds' production company. So the news that he's going to be remaking the movie Clue, I think, is actually pretty fantastic. Because if he's actually going to be in the movie, I would love to see him recreate the role of the butler played by Tim Curry or Mr. Green played by Michael McKean. Now, if you aren't familiar with the original film, it is a movie based off of the classic board game Clue, where you go around the mansion and you try and figure out who murdered who, with which weapon, and in what room. I'm talking about redoing this movie right here, Clue from 1985. If you have not seen this movie yet, you are doing yourself a disservice if you love comedies. I'll go ahead and throw a link for this in the description box below, and you can definitely check it out. And you're going to want to watch all the multiple endings of this film because all of the multiple endings really help make this film special. But Clue stands apart as a cult classic comedy as well as murder mystery whodunit. This film was done so well that 1985, over 30 years later, we're still celebrating this film and it hasn't been remade until now. Well, and even now it hasn't been remade, it's just being talked about being remade. At any rate, we're looking at getting a brand new Clue movie with Ryan Reynolds, and I think that is pretty spectacular. I think we're in for a really, really good time at the movies. I'm very curious to see who they get to come on board to direct and act in it along with Ryan Reynolds, and he's also bringing on the writers from Deadpool. So we're gonna have a team that's coming back together that's already familiar with each other and familiar with the comedy style and how to just get the pacing and the timing right of the jokes to match with the seriousness of the moment. Everything I was reading about this, I was just like, this sounds like an absolutely fantastic idea, and I'm so happy that they're pulling this team together to make it work. Fingers crossed they're able to get this film into production and they're able to get the ball rolling so we can see what their vision is on the big screen. Comment below with your thoughts. The Academy Awards are just around the corner, which means the Oscar nominations have dropped. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the folks who were nominated, some of the films who were nominated, and maybe also who should have been nominated that was not. So if you are a faithful watcher of Brunansky's vlog, you know that on our Facebook live sessions, we've been covering a lot of the award shows leading up to the Oscars. We've covered the Directors Guild, the Producers Guild, the Writers Guild, Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, and now we're also looking at the nominations for the Academy Awards. Let's go ahead and take a look at the nominations in more than just the Best Picture category. So if you haven't watched Saturday's Facebook Live, I'll go ahead and throw a card up right here, and you can go ahead and just click on that, and that'll take you to that video specifically, and you can watch my breakdown and kind of my thoughts on the Best Picture. But go ahead and comment below with who you'd like to see win Best Picture. Lead actor, Timothée Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, Denzel Washington, Roman J. Israel, Esquire. Now, I didn't see Call Me By Your Name, so I can't really speak to his performance, but what I can say is out of everybody that was on that list, I am not surprised at all that Denzel got nominated. I know a lot of people may be like, really? For Roman J. Israel, Esquire? While the movie itself was kind of okay, his performance was spectacular. So when I saw his name on this nominations list, I was very happy because I was like, now that is what I'm talking about. Because he really did transformation to hit this character and all of the nuances and subtleties and kind of personality tics that the character had. There is one name on this list, however, that really kind of caught me by surprise, because while I will not at all be surprised if Get Out actually wins, I was surprised that Daniel got the nomination for lead actor. So if I had to pick one actor on this list where I was like, if I was in the Academy, I would have voted for this person instead, I would pull Daniel out of this slot, and in place of him, I would throw up either one of these two actors because I think they did an incredible transformative job in their roles as well. First would be Michael Shannon for his role in The Shape of Water. I thought he played an incredibly brilliant character, and the fact that he has a crippled hand that is slowly deteriorating as the movie goes on, and he's got this tick about him where he's got to constantly have candy, and just the driving manic nature of his performance from the time we meet him until the finale of the film, I thought was absolutely fantastic. My next choice would be Jackie Chan for The Foreigner. Now, if you're looking at me and going, The Foreigner? Again, this isn't celebrating the movie. This is celebrating the performance in the movie that we saw. And I feel like Jackie Chan's performance was a performance that we've never seen from Jackie Chan. Again, transformative performance. He went into dark places places that I've never seen him pull from to deliver this character to us who was on a revenge mission for his family. All right, let's move on to the next category. For lead actress, Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards, Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird, Meryl Streep, The Post. I have no issue with any of these. I looked at this list and I was like, yeah, this absolutely makes sense. While again, 3 Billboards I thought is just an okay film, Frances McDormand slays in this movie. Super impressed with her performance of a mom on the edge. Next category, supporting actor. William Dafoe, The Florida Project, Woody Harrelson, 3 Billboards, Richard Jenkins, The Shape of Water, Christopher Plummer, All the Money in the World, Sam Rockwell, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Now I think out of all of the categories next to Best Picture, this might be the most difficult one to really give a good strong prediction on who could win. It's been pretty controversial that Sam Rockwell's character got nominated for his role in 3 Billboards. However, he delivers an incredible performance of a terrible person, and that's what acting is. You deliver the performance of the character that you're playing, and he did it. He was believable. I don't like his character. If I met his character in real life, I would not want to be friends with him. But in the movie, he delivers it so well, it's near impossible for me to understand how he wouldn't get nominated for that role. And moving back to the big question of, well, who would you take out of the list and then who would you replace them with? I have 2 people in mind that I could throw into this category that I think are deserving for their performances, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull out Woody Harrelson for his role in 3 Billboards. While he did a great job in his role really wasn't that big in the film, and he gets taken out of the movie pretty quick. So we're gonna go ahead and pull him out, and I've got 2 replacements that I think are just as equally fitting for that new spot. My first pick for the new spot that we just created, I think is a no-brainer. I think everybody expected him to get nominated and was surprised when he wasn't, and that is going to be Patrick Stewart for his role as Professor Xavier in Logan. His performance as a character who has all of the abilities that he has in his mind, and then to have to kind of like lose his mind and go through this crazy dementia with all of his powers, I thought he played incredibly well. I thought it was brilliantly done, and I don't think I'm alone in being surprised that he didn't get the nomination. So for my first choice, it's Patrick Stewart. My number 2 pick would go to Ray Romano for his role in The Big Sick. I thought as a father who's facing the reality of losing his daughter to this unknown disease that's attacking her body, I thought he played incredibly well. I thought it was believable, and I've never seen Ray Romano drop a performance like that. So if I had to pull Woody Harrelson and put somebody else in, it would either go to Patrick Stewart or Ray Romano. Comment below with your picks. Supporting actress, Mary J. Blige for Mudbound, Allison Janney for I, Tonya, Leslie Manville for Phantom Thread, Laura Metcalf for Lady Bird, Octavia Spencer, The Shape of Water. And just like lead actresses, again, I don't have a problem with any of the nominations on this list. Now, I haven't seen Mudbound, so I can't really say what Mary J was able to deliver on in that movie. But right now, since I haven't seen it, I have to agree with everything on this list. I think the supporting actress category is very well done, and I think all of these ladies deserve the nomination. For cinematography, we have Blade Runner 2049 by Roger Deakins, The Darkest Hour by Bruno Del Bono, Dunkirk by Hoyt Van Hoytema, Mudbound, Rachel Morrison, The Shape of Water, Dan Laston. I'm gonna be honest, even though I feel like this one is between 2 choices, for me, Blade Runner 2049 or The Shape of Water. I think both of these movies are just absolutely brilliantly shot. Everything about these films is just spectacular, and I was overly impressed with how well they look on the big screen. But again, this is another category that has a lot of strong competition, so I won't be surprised if any of the nominees win. Original score, Dunkirk with Hans Zimmer, Phantom Thread by Johnny Greenwood, The Shape of Water, Alexander Desplat, Star Wars The Last Jedi, John Williams, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Carter Burwell. All right, so for this category, like literally for me, there's only 2 options. And those 2 options are simply because the music takes on a life of its own. It becomes a personality in the film. It doesn't just like enhance the scene, it creates a new element within the scene. And those 2 movies that really stand out to me with their score are going to be The Shape of Water and Phantom Thread. Both of these movies, I mean, immediately I was just like, wow, this is incredible music. And it just added to the scene. It created new elements for the scene. It built on what all of the actors were doing. It built on the cinematography for how everything looked. These 2 films to me, like if one of these 2 doesn't win, I will be incredibly surprised. Comment below below with what movie had a memorable score for you last year. And the last category we're going to talk about today is one of those categories that you might not think about, but guess what? You are talking about this one aspect with the folks that you talk movies with. If I've confused you, don't worry, I'll clear it all up. You wouldn't think about it, but you're already talking about it, and that category is Best Visual Effects. Now, typically when you go see a movie, you're like, wow, that was an incredible movie, the special effects were great, blah, 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 but then the Academy Awards come around and you're like, oh, who's gonna get the Best Actor? Who's gonna get the Best Picture? And we don't necessarily, some of us might, but we don't necessarily jump to visual effects, and for some of us, that's a driving force for why we go to the movies, why we wanna see these big summer blockbusters on the big screen is because of the special effects. So this category, I think we definitely need to talk about. For visual effects, we have Blade Runner 2049, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Kong Skull Island, Star Wars The Last Jedi, War for the Planet of the Apes. So the three films I see as strong contenders in this category are Kong Skull Island, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and War for the Planet of the Apes. A lot of the stuff in Kong Skull Island, I don't think people realize may have been special effects. Obviously, right, the big monsters, Kong, everything else like that, special effects, but I think the little subtle stuff on the island with like the little animals and the birds and everything like that, I think maybe that might skip past people as far as special effects goes, which I think really adds to how great the special effects were in that film. Next, War for the Planet of the Apes. Obviously, I don't see why this wouldn't be a contender, considering they had all of these apes on both sides of the aisle going after each other, attacking humans, and it all looked seamless. The special effects in this movie are fantastic, and I'm not just talking about the action sequences and the battles. The motion capture for Andy Serkis was incredible. All of the other apes and just like how you could see emotion on their face and in their eyes really speaks to how much attention to detail was put into this film to bring it to life in a believable way for us as moviegoers. And lastly, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And the special effects in this film are fantastic. A planet comes to life, people. We have avatars beating each other up. One of them turns into a Pac-Man. This movie looked so good, and the special effects team and James Gunn directing all did such a fantastic and brilliant job bringing this gigantic space opera to life for us on the big screen. And I couldn't be happier for James Gunn and his team because I truly believe that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was one of the best special effects looking films for last year. Sound off below with what you thought about your preferred category, but we're going to go ahead and move on to honorable mentions. Honorable mentions this week: Steven Spielberg is making another Indiana Jones film and a West Side Story remake. Mission Impossible 6 will be titled Mission Impossible Fallout. Netflix is in talks with Paramount to buy God Particle, which is the third film from J.J. Abrams in the Cloverfield series. Geostorm takes the #1 spot in the Japanese box office in its first weekend in theaters. Marvel releases a first look of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. And that concludes this week's news segment. Thank you guys so much for enjoying the news with me and talking Oscar nominations. If you enjoyed any portion of that, go ahead and give me that thumbs up. Hi everyone, this is Jeremy Brunansky, and you've just finished watching the movie news segment. Now, if you enjoyed that, you may want to check out the Certified Rad playlist, which covers something awesome and uplifting that we found, or you may want to go ahead and check out the Special Segments playlist, which covers just a range and variety of topics that I want to dig a little deeper in, but we don't necessarily have time for on the weekly show. We will see you guys next Monday for a brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog right here on YouTube at 10 a.m. PST. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.